I could build a motel for that money and rent from the ground up for that price. A big one.
Okay. Let's see here. All right. I hope that the internet comes in okay. We are coming in live from the Eagle Lake Community Center, where things are about to get kicked off for the town hall meeting between city officials of Eagle Lake, citizens of Eagle Lake and Colorado County, and Endeavor's leadership to answer some questions tonight. I do not have a microphone, so I hope that this audio comes in okay. We're sitting right up here in the front, so I'm just going to be live and get ready for you guys to be able to witness. Let me log in to my Facebook account really quick. It'll probably cut out for a quick second so I can set the settings to public so you guys can like and share. Give me 1 second. All right. In other words, they're not. We should be good to go. You guys, please like and share. Like and share if you're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on Getter, or not Getter. We're streaming on YouTube, Twitter. If you are on Facebook, go to my personal page. If you guys are watching from the Secure the Border uh, Facebook page, the room is filling in. So please like and share, like and share. And things should get started here in just a few moments. Can somebody just tell me if you guys can hear okay? Just trying to get everything set up here. We've got Marie Day here. We are live. So the room is filling in quite nicely. All right, can somebody just tell me if you guys can hear it okay? I know it's loud, it's going to be a lot of noise, but just want to make sure you guys can hear it okay. There's the pamphlet that we all got. This is in regards to the unaccompanied minors facility that they are planning on opening up. Here's some of the salaries that they are proposing. So please like and share. Hope you guys can hear it okay. I'm going to plug in my phone.
If you divide the money, they're talking about 15 employees.
Is that what you want? 15 from our one elementary school.
15 teachers from the one elementary school.
In Columbus.
Can I give you my card? Because I'm going to be running out I was really low. I am. We've got quarters in Alliance for State Texas as our nonprofit. So I've already written one piece in preparation for this, and we'll be writing a few several.
That's the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just be saying.
No. He just now. He still needs 2 more officers. They have security fence and cameras. That's their security.
Is there armed guards inside this?
No.
So who's stopping you from leaving?
Okay. And so
Yeah. Those two are innocent.
I'm actually from the DFW area. That's where I live, but I'm all over it.
No, shit.
They're not there because they don't like
Have you asked him about people coming up to the front to speak or no?
No, because it looks like they're like setting up still or something.
Yeah, but they don't have a podium. That's the sad.
Yeah.
They're doing Zoom now.
Because I think some people are they literally going to be calling in? Wouldn't that be something? That would be something.
It depends on what they have set up.
Yes, it would. So we're only seeing one representative from Endeavors currently. And just spoke, let's see, actually, I'll turn it around. You guys can see me. Just spoke to one local resident here whose concern is for the impact to the local school, which is a very valid concern. That's one of the questions that I was going to be bringing up, something along those lines, that we've seen in some of the other areas.
All right.
Because they just stated that they lost already 15 teachers in just the elementary school alone. So the room is filling in. I think some of the representatives from Endeavors are running a bit late. So anyways, I'll just turn it around as we wait for things to get started. Like and share, like and share, like and share. And then, of course, go to securetheboarder.us. You guys can help to contribute to the travel funds on there, on the donate tab, but also, most importantly, the take action tab. And this is it. As we talk about taking action, this is it. Cynthia, say hi. Y'all say hi.
hi. How are y'all?
And that's the sheriff back there of Colorado County. I already spoke with them. So we're just waiting on things to get started. The man in the blue shirt and the jeans is the mayor. It's oh my God.
an extension cord.
No, now.
think that's chips. No, the one center, top corner. I think that's. It looks good. And that's the only show. Trying to see what is it, 8 Yes, and then just go to teaching. That's all I really. So I can use it
For the articles. All right, can you guys hear okay?
I don't know.
Somebody just say yes, thumbs up, something that you guys, if the audio is okay. Please let me know. Ish. It's like it's crooked. There we go. It's a little better.
You need the local computer guy?
They're all looking at the cords like.
What are y'all trying to talk about? You need HDMI.
I have one call.
Yes, I do.
Look.
Just a second.
I got it. Uh-oh, where'd my thing go? Oh, okay. I was like, I know where to go.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get everyone to take their seats. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. We're trying to get the projectors set up so endeavors can give their presentation. One thing that I'm going to ask is everyone turn your phones off, or at least on Sunday reader off. We're pretty limited on time. And we're going to, hopefully, everyone's going to get to speak tonight, or if you have a question or concern, we're going to they're going to try to answer it for you. So we just don't need any distractions. Now I don't know how many people have signed up to ask questions, but there may be some repetitive questions. So if someone asks a question that you had and you got the answer, then, and you're on the list and I call you, you can, don't ask the same question, obviously, but if you have another one. My point is we're pretty limited on time. So anyway, in a few more minutes, we'll get started.
Giving me a thumbs up or anything. I just need to know if the audio is okay. I know it's gonna be echoey, but
Yes, it is.
I'll go to my table. Thank you.
Oh, you want to see the same thing on both screens?
There's going to be a lot of
Oh, I turned the volume. Yeah. I didn't even test it. Okay. Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. We should be good. Might need to back that up. I don't know why the comments aren't coming through.
Did everyone
If you guys are commenting for whatever reason, I can't see them. So anyways, just please like and share, like and share. We're getting ready to get started.
Okay. Okay, it's final time, it's 6:09. I'm going to call this town hall meeting to order. I want to introduce the Endeavors representatives. If y'all would introduce yourselves, please.
Sure, I'm Chip Holden, the President and Chief Operating Officer of Endeavors. And that's Kim Solis, she's our Chief of Communications.
Thank you. They're going to give a little presentation, and then I'm going to give the list of folks who signed up to speak, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna give y'all the floor.
All right, thanks, Mayor. And thank you guys for being here. We look forward to the conversation here tonight. What we thought we would do is give you a quick presentation on who we are as an organization. Speak up. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. What we thought we'd do is give you a quick presentation as to who we are as an organization, what the group home at Eagle Lake is designed for, what the process is for how those kids get here, and then what happens to them while they're at our facility, and then how they're moved on, what the current status of the project is, and then we'll answer any questions you have. So we are a faith-based organization. We've been around for almost going on 54 years now. We were founded by 5 Presbyterian churches in San Antonio, Texas, with a simple mission, and that mission is to serve vulnerable people in crisis. We were founded in 1969 by Dr. Louis Zabinda, who was the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church in San Antonio. He came to the church one day, a cold January day, and a homeless individual had perished the night before on the steps of the church. And at that time, he vowed to do everything in his power for as long as he was alive to prevent something like that from happening. So out of that one event, lots of organizations respond off. Endeavors at Roy Moss Foundation, actually Habitat for Humanity in San Antonio Food Bank. So a lot of organizations respond out of that one simple mission, which was to serve vulnerable people in crisis. Go ahead. So we have 4 pillars of service. We are a national nonprofit. We're in 18 states, the District of Columbia, and on the island of Puerto Rico. We do a lot with the homeless, particularly here in the state of Texas. We do a lot for veterans and their families. We are a provider of homeless prevention and rapid rehousing services for veterans and their families on behalf of the VA. And we operate several military family clinics here in the state that provide mental health services to not only veterans, but also their family members, as well as active duty. We do a lot of rapid response and long-term disaster recovery. We've operated here in the state of Texas, serving victims of Hurricane Harvey. We've served victims in Florida and North Carolina, currently serving victims in the state of Louisiana, as well as on the island of Puerto Rico. And then our migrant services line, which we've been at for more than a decade. We've done over 35 deployments supporting surges on the border. Go ahead. So we wanted to just spend a minute about the federal process because there's been some questions before about what is the process. So when a family makes the decision to send their child to the border unaccompanied, they typically do that by sending them with some type of criminal organization. They typically pay somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 to get that child to the United States. When that child comes to the United States, they're apprehended by CBP. They're vetted by CBP, and what that simply means is they take their biographical information. The majority of the time, they also take fingerprints and that type of information, and then they run them through their various systems to make sure that they are no threat to the United States. At that point in time, they are then transferred to another government agency, the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, which has responsibility for the care of these kids and to reunify them with a sponsor here in the United States. The vast majority of these kids come with some known sponsor in the United States. So our primary job in these facilities, in addition to the care and feeding of these kids, is to reunify them with a sponsor here in the United States and move them to their final destination while the immigration system does what the immigration system is going to do. And I should say, it says it on the slide, but this is the same process that's been going on since the 90s. So as I said, we've been at this for more than a decade. We're currently operating a 3,000 bed facility on behalf of the federal government out in Pecos, Texas. We're where we've seen and served over 35,000 children in the 18 months that we've been in existence. But we've been doing this for a long time. So at this facility at Eagle Lake, we will have 13 to 17-year-old boys. They are supervised 24/7. You see the ratios up there. During the day, it's a 1-to-8 ratio. At night, it's a 1-to-16 ratio. Those ratios are set by the federal government. The campus will be under 24/7 surveillance, 24 hours a day. And as if you've been by the facility, you see that there is a fence around the facility as well, and there will be landscaping for privacy purposes. The shelter will have medical and mental health personnel on site. The kids, when they go there, there's very limited interaction with the public. They're transported there by ground by the government, and they stay there until that reunification process is complete, or the government decides to transfer them to another facility. So there's very little interaction with the public. The children get at least 6 hours of education a day. The children also get recreation every day and access to religious services. Most of that's done via streaming mechanism. Go ahead. And these are just some renderings of what the facility will look like when it's complete. Go ahead. And this is about the total economic impact that you can expect. Again, it'll be about $8.5 million a year. Most of that's in salaries. And as you see in there, what we've invested on the property today. Go ahead. And those are some of the employment opportunities that are there. Those opportunities and those salaries are based on market analysis to make sure we're competitive with the local market. Go ahead. Current status is that late February, you can mark through that, and now the early March, where we've got an electrical panel that we can't seem to get here. So it will be early March. We have been awarded a 3-year grant from the federal government to operate the facility. Earliest potential date that we'd be available to take children is sometime in the summer of 2023. And we do plan to have an open house once the facility is complete. I think I got through that fairly rapidly. So we're open to questions, ma'am.
Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to start with the City of Eagle Lake residents. I'm going to go city residents and out of city residents. Mike Houlihan, could somebody give us a microphone? So we're going to give y'all 3 minutes. Try to get it with it.
Okay, I'm Mike Houlihan. I've been a resident of Eagle Lake for about 19 years. I kind of feel maybe a little bit different from a lot of people are here because can you relate to something? I can relate to this because I am an immigrant to this country. I came here legally. I became a U.S. citizen legally. The difference between my immigration and what we have coming here is law. The federal government says no. Our borders are being destroyed by openness. I feel sorry for some kid, mother, daddy, pushing the kid, drug cartel across the border. If you really want to help people, and we all know, I think that you did this here in Eagle Lake, in this facility, this real nice facility you have here. You go to Houston or San Antonio, you go get a bunch of those homeless veterans that are sleeping under cars. And you will have 100% support in what you have right now. The security that you have in the facility with the people living right across the street, less than 500 foot. You're less than probably 1,000 yards from an elementary school. You got a clinic and a hospital where employees work there at night and leave there late at night. We don't see a lot of security cameras going up over your facility whatsoever. God help you in your facility. Something happened to somebody that I care about. That's all I'm going to say.
So, I'm not gonna comment on, government policy and government, immigration policy. What I will tell you is the kids that come across the border are claiming asylum here in the United States. And so they go through that process. As far as security goes, like I said, we'll have 24/7 security. We'll also have personnel security on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I do have a comment. You say security 24/7? What do you mean by that?
I'm talking professional security, a professional security company.
Okay, so the gate? I don't know. The gate that you get delivered from, people can call and read the gate.
So,
Or then, I mean, the fence that you have, you can easily call, that's it.
Yep.
So that's not security.
That's decoration.
so, again, we will have surveillance 24/7, and we'll have,
Supposedly their border.
So your cameras are gonna stop?
No pass.
and we will have personal security on site, and we've got, sufficient ratios of, direct care providers.
All right, so let's keep this in order. I'd rather those not jump in unless you're on the list, please. So if you want to speak, come sign in. You on the list? Come Billy, say. All right, Sheena Rodriguez.
Oh.
There you go.
I want everybody to get an opportunity to speak, really.
I have a few questions. So if it's okay, I'd like to hand you guys this. You'll be the one who's, just in case we get lost. So I am Sheena Rodriguez, and I've been everywhere along our Texas southern border, from the RGV, Rio Grande Valley. That's where I picked up this bracelet right here that was won, that was worn by one of the unaccompanied minors of Canada. In Roma, in La Jolla, all the way through Laredo, up through El Paso, the Algarve sector, and Yuma. So I do have a few questions. What percentage of the unaccompanied minors in the Pecos facility are 17-year-olds? And it might maybe just be easier, that's kind of why I gave that for me to kind of have my questions and then maybe give you a chance to respond. Our 17-year-olds, consequently, how many of those 17-year-olds have aged out while under the care of endeavors? And then how many of those that have aged out are released into the city of Pecos? Because that would be relevant here, as that's the same age group. I know in the DFW area, we had a number, and the same thing with Freeman Coliseum, there was a number of kids that aged out and were released into the community. Also, in previous city council meetings, and actually just now, you stated that CBP and ICE run the background checks for the minors for the facility. In the case in Florida, there was a case, Barry Noel Medina Ula, who was 24 from Honduras, and posed himself and was successfully able to post himself as an unaccompanied minor, went through an unaccompanied minor facility, then was transported to Florida, where he later murdered a father of 4. So that is the very same system, it sounds like, that you guys would be relying on. So what guarantee do the great citizens of Eagle Lake have, if that's your reliance, that the same situation won't happen here? Same thing with gang affiliations. I've heard several times where you quoted the 1%. I study this, I write about it. I can't find anywhere on HHS or ORR's website where they state the gang affiliation with unaccompanied minors. I can see where they do that as an overall generalized number, and that number has drastically increased. So I haven't heard, however, over the last 2 years, I haven't heard that 1% change. So same question there. In December of 2021, we also do I Am a Mother, Like I said, I've seen these unaccompanied minors coming over. This one in particular was a sex trafficking case that we intercepted, the band that I'm wearing. So we do also care about the care of these children, because many of them are innocent, especially the younger ones. And they have no control over what's happening with them. Oh, yeah, I continue, just ask a question. Okay. So Project Veritas in December actually released, through their investigative journalism, released videos, footage where they actually did the job of DHS and traced back some of these sponsors who unaccompanied minors right here in the state of Texas, and found that several dozen of them were actually put into sex trafficking rings and child labor rings. So what responsibility, and as a matter of fact, one of them that they found in Bonita Springs that was found in an apartment with several other grown men that were not related to them, mentioned going through the Pecos facility, which is where it operates. So I'd like to know if you guys have any awareness of either of these cases in Florida, or the child that was found on Project Veritas, if they actually went through y'all's facility over there in Pecos. And then again, because we do care, we don't hurt those people. We just want Americans first. It's not racist at all. So with that in mind, what guarantee would these people have? And then also mentioning the veterans. 2021, the news cycle was going rampant with how horrific the foster care system in Texas was, where these children, American children in the foster care system, as of right now, we're showing about 35,000 currently in CPS care here in the state of Texas. You mentioned about 34,000 during the last city council meeting. You mentioned about 34,000 going through the Pecos facility of illegal aliens, children, but that would almost compensate for every single child in the Texas CPS system currently there right now. So what difference would it make? Because you did mention that as a possible plan B, because it does sound like you guys were able to go around Governor Abbott's executive order going against the wishes of the state, to go ahead and open and get the grants as open. But what, in the research that you guys did as a potential plan B to open for domestic children, American children, what difference would it have been dollar-wise for you guys to take care of American children compared to children of illegal aliens? There's a few other questions, but I think that's enough on there.
We'll get no answers.
Thank you.
So, I'll start with I'll try to do the best I can to answer your questions, and if I don't answer them all.
I know it was a lot.
We've gotten them written down.
Yes.
We'll be in contact with you to make sure we get you an answer. To start with your first question, I think your first question was about age outs. So, at Pecos, we have had age outs. There's a process in place. Those kids are turned over to the El Paso ICE office for further processing, and ICE does what ICE does at that point.
Which is to what? Release them into the community several times. Is that correct, or am I misquoting?
Typically, they are placed on the non-detained docket.
Which means?
Which means they are.
No. Wait. Let's. What does that mean in plain English for those? How many here that are not like myself that are aware of immigration terminology? Please raise your hand.
So what?
Okay, so let's water it down. Thank you.
There's two paths that the United States has set up.
Are they released into the community?
So they are eventually released, not
Thank you.
necessarily.
Okay.
They may travel on to their final
Right, okay.
destination, but what I'm telling you is what we do is we give them back to ICE.
Who then will either release them into the community or somewhere else. Got it.
As to what to do with those adults at that.
Right. Okay.
Do you guys have a stat on how many are actually released into the community?
Because that was one I asked.
It's a very small percentage. I don't have it readily available, but our age outs. So our age outs are very few and far between, and typically, again, they are all given back to the federal government. In this case, immigration and customs enforcement because they are 18 years old and are treated like an adult.
The Project Veritas and the case in Florida, what guarantee do you give the citizens that will not happen since that's the system that you guys rely on?
So I can't guarantee anything. What I'm telling you is that there's a process in place. Things that you described are extremely rare, but they can occur. I'm not going to sit here and say they can't occur because they have occurred.
Right.
But it's rare.
And do we know if other of those cases, have you guys been able, because I'm sure that you guys were alerted, especially the case with Project Veritas, when the child specifically named the Pecos facility. Are you guys aware if either of those two cases actually did go through the Pecos facility that Endeavors runs?
So to our knowledge, that individual did not.
Both of them?
Yeah, to our knowledge,
Okay.
they did not.
Okay.
And keep in mind, the other part, I know you know this, the other part to this is that we as a provider make recommendations to the federal government. Right. The federal government then makes the ultimate decision about whether or not you place the child or not place the child.
So what responsibility does Endeavors have to the citizens of the community where they're opening this facility, like in Pecos and like here in Eagle Lake? At what point, because I understand what you're saying, right? But at what point, because it's like pushing it off, we're just the in between. So I get that, but at what point does Endeavors have some type of responsibility, number one, to the citizens of where they're opening up this type of facility, but number two, also to the children that you are serving with our taxpayer dollars? At what point does Endeavor say, we know that this is an issue with the federal government, we're providing a service, we're in charge of the care, if that makes sense?
Well, first of all, child welfare is our number one focus.
Right.
So we are going to do all the due diligence that we can possibly do to make sure the child's going to a safe and secure environment, to include recommending a home study for the child before that child is placed there.
How often are the home studies done, percentage-wise?
So we're one of many providers that do home studies, so I'll just tell you how many we've done. Over the last year, we did about 3,000.
And how many children did you have go through your facility in Pecos?
Last year, I think we had maybe 20,000 or so go through last year.
So roughly about 10 to 15, possibly 20%.
We make recommendations and the government decides whether or not to do a home study for them.
Okay, we need to move on. I would love to hear everything you have to say. I think they can answer some of that afterwards. But we got a lot of people on the list.
Thank you.
And our next Eagle Lake resident is Kurt Sunday.
So I'm Kurt Sunderman. I'm here today. I am a citizen of Eagle Lake, been a citizen for over 20 years. I've lived my whole life in the area, but a resident for 20. I'm here today, though, representing Bryce Medical Center as their CEO. So I went to my staff. They've been watching all the activities going on next door for well over a year, and I asked them, what are their thoughts and their concerns? Their number one concern is their safety. And as my number one job is to provide a safe environment for my staff and for my patients. And it's a running joke that fence next door, which I'll put around the building, is for security. It would be very easy for them to cross over that without ever being seen. Another question for you, or my question for you is, you talk about having healthcare on site. You also talk about being a community partner. So how is it that y'all are going to come in and provide all the services inside of that facility, but yet you aren't going to be utilizing the services of our town or community? If you do have healthcare inside the facility, what happens when they can't handle whatever health emergency arises? Where are those patients going to go? Who's paying the bill? Is it Endeavor? Is it the federal government? Are they uninsured? What does that look like for us financially? Our facility cannot afford to take care of hundreds or thousands of individuals coming through there for 3 years, that there is no funding to provide their health care. The other thing about being a community partner, I've worked with the city for the last few months our city inspector and public works director, to remedy some issues that we've noticed. One being that planted trees in the drainage ditch that drains all of South Austin Road, drains all the water off of our property, and planted trees right in the middle of the ditch. And they get to remove those, and then our helicopters that land at our facility to transport patients out emergently. I put up very tall parking lot lights that are way above the trees and above the markers that we have, so the helicopters have a safe approach. City inspectors asked y'all to put warning lights on top of it many months ago, and that hasn't happened. So when you say you're going to be a good community partner, I don't know how that's going to be when starting off you haven't done what y'all been asked to do. And that's all I got right now. Again,
Related to that, if you do send a child over to the hospital and you're providing security at the facility, will they have company security at the hospital, or are they required to provide security?
You want me to answer those? So, first of all, I appreciate you bringing up the issue with the drainage ditch. First I've heard of it, so I took that for action as well as the light. I hadn't heard of it. So,
Doesn't it bode well to communication between your organization?
so well, it's with our construction company. So, I will say that the feedback we've gotten from the inspector is we've complied with everything he's asked us to do. So, but that said, I hear you, and we'll take action on both of those. As far as the kids go, we have basic medical care. If something beyond that is warranted, we would expect to go to the local medical facility, which is yours. Those children are always accompanied by someone on site, and they never leave their side while they're there. I will tell you that at Pecos, which we have a lot larger medical footprint than we have, obviously, at the 60-bed facility, because it's not required. But we usually average maybe 1 to 2 trips to the ER a day, and most of those are for, like, I've hurt my ankle playing sports or something like that. So I don't expect to have a lot of trips to your facility, but when we do, we would hope and expect that we'll get cleared.
And y'all are gonna pay for it?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, you asked about who pays. My bad. So the federal government has insurance for those kids, and so that's.
So we're paying for it.
Well, how many kids are there?
just to be clear, we treat everybody who's the door the same, regardless of
Right.
who they are. They will get the best treatment.
Did you get all your questions answered, other than the fence?
The security.
So with regard to the fence, when we first came, Legal Lake and talked about it, we talked about the fence. And at the time, folks were like, they didn't want a wall type structure or something like that. They wanted the type fence that we ended up putting up. That said, we can certainly look and get, based on the feedback we're getting, we can readdress and get something different. And we'll take a look at that. Yes, sir.
Who was that talked about with?
The city leadership at the time.
And when was that?
That was back in 2020, 2021.
Can I comment about the fence? I live right across the street, and I watched them put up the fence this summer. And one gentleman, not a great big guy, very tall, took one panel and carried it all by himself to install it. So I don't think it's very secure if one little guy carried one panel himself.
Okay, let's move on. Marie Day.
Yes, my question to you is,
Marie.
yes, excuse me, I don't normally need a microphone.
My question to you is, as you bought that facility, do you know whether or not the Central Appraisal District has put a neighborhood code on that facility?
I'm not quite sure what a neighborhood code is, but when we bought the facility, we asked very specifically, was it zoned for this use? And the answer was yes.
Well, let me explain to y'all. So this is your facility, this is your house across the street. If this facility has its own neighborhood code, her commercial property value is probably gonna decrease a buttload, excuse my French, but the appraised value doesn't decrease. Because in Texas, appraisals are based on neighborhood codes. So I want everybody in Eagle Lake to understand that. If you live in that area or within a mile, right? Central Appraisal District plan says within a mile. So if your facility has its own neighborhood code, so talk to the folks who decide what neighborhood codes are and don't allow that facility to have its own neighborhood code. Thank you.
I will say, and this is completely different, right? At Pecos, we've been there for 18 months and property value actually went up, not down.
Residential?
Yes, there's a residential neighborhood directly behind.
I have family in that area and I vehemently disagree with that.
I'm just telling you what the stats.
Okay, we'll move on. Ms. Anderson?
Said
Okay.
property. Property.
Harry? You're up.
Hi, my name's Harry. I've been dealing with security for over 23 years. I've installed security cameras, may have the fences that you have. Basically, this fence you have up, it's just a high swimming pool fence. The security cameras you have, I mean, what's a security camera gonna stop? It ain't gonna stop the kids from running. None of this. I mean, basically, this is just a money deal for y'all. You say it's not. If this wasn't a money deal for y'all, why didn't y'all take it on the other side of Mexico and build it in Mexico? The federal government has already said no, they go back. But yet y'all keep building stuff, y'all keep getting this money. I mean, come on, are you gonna give up your your 6-figure salary? This is all it is. How is a business non-profitable? How? They gotta get rid of the money. So people get raises. Look at his raises. You'll see how much money he made one year after another year. Each employee, you get rid of the money by giving bonuses and giving raises so they can ask for more money the next time. This happens in the prison systems. This happens everywhere. I mean, it's a money game. Take it over to Mexico like you're supposed to, according to the federal government, who's already said they got to go back. I know Mexico will take the money because you're not bringing no money to this town. You're bringing your people into this town, and you're going to sit here and hire them to come work over here, but nobody here in Eagle Lake's going to see that money. And that's all I have to say.
Do you have a response to this?
I do have a response. First of all, as a nonprofit, we've invested lots of resources across the state for veterans and their families, for the homeless, lots of different folks in need. So, when you say all we're in it is for the money, I vehemently disagree with that statement. As far as security goes, if there are legitimate security concerns about the way we structure the facility, we are more than willing to sit down with folks who are experts in the field and have a conversation about what else we can do to enhance security.
And how many more contracts have you gotten from this?
How much has Endeavors received in no bid contracts and grants for the care of unaccompanied minors?
So as far as the no bid award, those awards were done when the government was in dire straits in an emergency situation. And what I'd like to say is there were 15 of those awards done. So we weren't the only one that got it.
But if that doesn't make it right.
But
So,
and what about the grants? The amount of money for grants for unaccompanied, not just the no bid contracts, because no bid by definition means that it wasn't competition. So no bid contracts that were received for Endeavors when Endeavors had previously not held any direct licensing with ICE or HHS to care. Despite what you guys say, you guys have helped to provide staff for others like BC, the Baptist family, that one. I always get it wrong, the acronym. But how much has Endeavors received in grants and no bid contracts, et cetera, since the Biden administration has taken office for the care of unaccompanied minors?
as I said before, we've been doing this for over a decade, and.
Have you had direct contracts with ICE and HHS, or was that in? Okay. Sorry.
We've been doing this for over a decade in support of BCFS and other organizations, as well as in a direct care relationship with the government.
I'm sorry. I forgot to ask my last question. On this $10 million bid for this company here, for this building that you built here, I was involved with the Best Western that was going to be next to the Holiday Inn in Columbus, Texas. And I know what they bought the property for, and I know what the building was going to cost, and it didn't cost us half as much as what you bought a building that was already built for. So where did the money go to? Whose pockets? $10 million. It was going to cost less than $5 million to build a Best Western. It was 3 stories high.
So we bought the facility for roughly $2.5 million, and we spent roughly $6.5 million to renovate it.
Boy, I could have built a whole motel for that price.
Okay, we're moving on. Hey.
So based on what we are doing in that facility, I would have no issue with it. Yes, I would have no issue with it.
If you live 75 yards away?
I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Of course, 6-figure salary.
Jim Wood, you're up.
Did y'all hear the one about Jim Wood? The biggest part of the questions asked and answered what I have in mind. And I am learning something as we go through this process. This I did not know. If I correct me if I'm wrong, you said 13 and 17-year-olds, when they hit the border, are seeking asylum. That's correct. Well, I'm then kind of wondering, are they being told to do that when they leave home from wherever? All you have to do is get to the border and seek asylum, and you will get it?
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty simple answer. Next, you're funded for 3 years. So I take it this is a process the government's put into place to go for how long? Thank you.
So it's a competitive process that the government will reevaluate at the end of that 3-year period. And grants are awarded and grants are taken away all the time for facilities. They are seeking asylum when they cross it. Yes, sir.
Is looking for your family considered seeking asylum? Is looking for your family considered seeking asylum?
Hey, folks, let's be clear about something. They have nothing to do with the policies. So don't get on him about the policies. We're here to fuss about this facility that's coming up in our town. So don't give him a hard time about the policies. That has nothing to do with you. It's the money. Let's ask questions about the facility.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. All right, we're gonna move on. Chris Christensen.
Hey, Mr. Folger, I'm glad you came. I was hoping that Steve Finger or John Allman was going to show up. But hopefully you can answer the questions for him since you've known Steve. Sorry, since you've known John for a long time. You keep mentioning, and I've heard this theme from the beginning, that we're a nonprofit. So there are companies that do this kind of thing that are not nonprofit. Why has Endeavor chosen to stay nonprofit for these ICE contracts?
One, they're not. This isn't an ICE contract; it's an HHS contract. But we believe in our mission.
I think you said it that way.
All right, try it.
Better? How about that?
Oh.
It might be the battery. Switch mics.
This one's not working very well.
How about this one?
Okay, there we go.
So it's our mission to serve vulnerable people in crisis as a nonprofit. We've been doing it for, as I said, 54 years. And so this is an area that we believe in, and we believe in it very strongly.
Yeah, I've been kind of researching the history of Endeavors a little bit, and I know back from '69 that you all did great work with, on a smaller scale, with veterans, some homeless people, and then a few years ago, you started getting bigger. So, but this nonprofit thing, it seems to me, from what I've found, that it's very profitable for a few people. So let me ask you, for example, Intrepid Staffing, which is in the building that you guys own in San Antonio, 2019, Endeavor's paid them, I don't know, do you remember how many millions of dollars they paid Intrepid Staffing to do the print work?
I don't recall it off the top of my head.
Are you paid by Intrepid Staffing also?
Paid by Endeavors.
But not Intrepid?
Endeavors.
That's a no for Intrepid. Okay. So Steve Lefevre is the CFO for Endeavors.
Correct.
And he gets a salary of like $230,000, $240,000 a year from Endeavors. Do you know how much he's paid from Intrepid Staffing? But he's their CFO also.
So it's a subsidiary inside our organization.
But it's not a nonprofit.
That's correct.
So why is it, other than the fact that they don't have to publish their salaries and where the money comes from, where it goes to?
So that staffing company allows us to do more.
Because they can do more because they're a private company than they would if they were a
It
nonprofit?
allows us to staff our organization for operations like this. That's the only reason it's there.
But it has nothing to do with being a profit or not. So do you know how many other companies your executive staff are executives of, that are paid by private companies, the 20-some that John Allman and Steve Lefevre are involved with through Texas, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Florida, Puerto Rico, and a couple other places.
So they're both paid by Endeavor.
Only Endeavors.
Correct.
So the money that Intrepid staffing pays Lefevre, that's not happening anywhere else other than with Intrepid staffing.
He's not paid by Endeavor.
I've got your Form 990 here that says.
He's paid by Endeavor.
Somebody lied on the tax.
So I hope you understand this. So Endeavors files a form, and in the report says we give Intrepid so much money, and Intrepid says CFO, it's John, what's his name? Lefevre is our CFO. He does our books. But Intrepid, he works for free for this private for-profit company.
It's no different than Endeavors Unlimited, which is another entity inside our organization that does landscaping and custodial work.
Construction crew works well.
Who are disabled, who got about the state. Or does those things too.
Okay.
Paid by Endeavor.
Paid by Endeavor. But Intrepid doesn't pay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Chris. We need to, we're gonna go to Mark York.
So everybody works for him.
I want to start off by saying I appreciate what y'all do to help the kids. I've been working for many, many years as a licensed treatment foster care parent. And I've actually picked up kids from the Santa Teresa facility just a few minutes from the El Paso border. So thank you for that. First question I got is education. That's all going to be in-house is what I understand, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And where's the funding come from for that?
From the grant.
From the grant, totally.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Is the facility in Pecos, is that permanent or temporary?
It is called an influx care facility, so it is temporary in nature.
So how does that correlate to the expansion?
If I could,
How does that correlate to the expansion going on in Pecos?
so if the federal government asked us to expand the number of beds and make them available so that if there is as the surge on the border continues, that we have additional capacity.
Okay. So
speaking on the nonprofit thing, I get that. Makes me wonder who's getting the $450 million estimated profit that they've made so far there in 18 months. I got that off of some journalism that I've been talking to the FOC management. They said, $575 million grant.
So that contract allows us to pay for the facility, pay for the medical providers, pay for the staff, pay for the operation of up to 3,000 facilities.
And that takes $450 million in 18 months.
So it takes to operate.
I think we ought to hire some better. No, okay, how much is y'all's grant for each place?
It's about $8.5 million a year.
$8.5 million a year. 3 years?
Yes, sir.
That's about all I got, so thank you for your answers. Thank you. We're gonna move over to Brenda Bueller.
No, my name was not down. No, I have no questions.
You have no questions, all right. Kay Manager?
I'm gonna go over here, I don't want any of that.
Yeah, Mike.
I'd like to know what Endeavor's plans on doing as far as, supporting the local law enforcement, with the police officers as well as the sheriff's office. It's not, it doesn't take a brain scientist to understand that these 13 to 17-year-old boys coming over here are beholden to the cartels, and you're giving them basically a foothold here in rural Texas, which they are so much better armed and have access to things that we don't, that our law enforcement doesn't have. What is Endeavor's doing to support the law enforcement community here in this area and the surrounding areas, because they're going to impact the surrounding areas, I'm sure, from the Lafayette.
So, a couple things. One, we always work with local law enforcement to make sure, that we have a good working relationship. All I can tell you, as a reference to your question is, the experience we've had at Pecos. You know, in the 18 months we've been there, I think law enforcement has come out maybe 4 times, and for all 4 times, it was for staff-related issues, had nothing to do with the kids. Because again, those kids are going to be reunified and moved somewhere in the United States. They're not going to be right on here for, on average, 35 days.
Why are we not, this is a little bit different, but why are we not working to help them reunify with their families back where they came from?
So
I mean, I'm sorry, but.
So that's an immigration question.
No, I understand,
And
but
all I'm telling
you
you
set
is
yourself in the middle of it.
and we're doing what the government's asked us to do. Which is
On our nickel.
It's dollars now, not nickels anymore.
So when we came and looked at the facility, it was appropriate for the use. And at the time, we were not the city officials, they were supportive of it.
Not anymore.
Tim,
Tim Harvey?
can I take my spot back?
Yeah, my question is, I understand wanting to help children that are in crisis, and I think everyone here understands and feels sympathy for these kids when they're off support. And first of all, 13-year-old is not a child in Mexico, there's very much that. But my question is, as many children as we have in this country that are in dire need of help, why would the money go to children from other countries? Why don't we concentrate on this country first?
Because you can't write a grant for us.
Because Biden administration gave the money for them instead of us.
Yeah, by the federal grant for it.
I don't think it's something that you. All right, we're gonna move on.
I don't need that thing. I'm gonna jump up, I'm gonna ask Oh, Kim, I'm sorry.
She's like,
I thought you gave up your spot. Michelle.
yeah.
So, a couple of questions. Why is the decision made to bring these 80, 60 kids at a time here instead of remaining in Pecos? First of all, what's the criteria that chooses those kids to come here?
Okay, so the government has about 13,000 available beds across the southwest border. Then they have those influx care facilities, one in Pecos and one in Bliss, that adds capacity. And the government makes the decision as to where those kids are placed throughout that network. There are about 187 shelters or group homes across the United States.
Do you have comparable population at Pecos? These are just overflow, or are these specifically chosen, they don't meet criteria to say Pecos?
No, the government makes those decisions as to where to place those kids.
Oh, I understand, I mean, is there a criteria that causes them to flip over to this facility?
So the kids that will come here are deemed to be the lowest risk. If, for example, a kid was deemed to be a higher risk, they go to a different type of facility.
Okay. And your ratios of attending to the children are better than they are in the nursing home, when they care for the disabled people at their home. How do you, I guess you're better funded in the nursing home is?
So the ratios are determined by the Office of Refugee and Resettlement.
Okay, well, just for the record, they're way better funded than the nursing homes.
So.
Let's see, how long, do you say 35 days, because you're not a permanent facility, so you expect kids to flow through here, I think 35 days?
Then, average length of stay is around 35 days.
Okay, at that time, you'll assess their abilities, their health, is this their first stop on the journey?
So they're assessed as a part of that reunification process. And they'll either be transferred to another facility or they'll be reunified with a sponsor here in the United States.
Okay, so, but they're not here for a year?
No.
Okay.
For on average for 35 days.
And lastly, you guys are promoting this as a great boon for our economy. Two questions. One is, what is your tax footprint going to look like pouring into the community from a nonprofit standpoint? What is your output going to be to the community? And then also from a hiring standpoint, how many of those many jobs do you feel are going to be offered to local residents? How many do you think qualify for that? I know you have your sub-company that does landscaping. Are you going to be traveling here to do the landscaping, or are you going to actually hire locals? I know the nursing home, speaking of real life, has a very difficult time hiring staff. And so how do you get extra staff? They clearly won't be local. So how many local people do you think you will actually hire?
So I don't know the exact number, but I know that we will look to hire local first.
And of course, and when you do that, what kind of qualifications are we talking about? Because education.
So it depends on the type of job. And those job requirements again are set forth by the minimum requirements are set forth by the government.
Right. Just an observation is if they want local differences.
Thank you. Bobby Nolan? Good pass. Bobby Gustus?
My name is Bobby Gustus. I'm a Republican precinct chair in Colorado County. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the constituents in my community whose voices should be heard, as well as speak out of my own concerns. I do appreciate portions of your cause and you being here allowing us to speak openly. Transparency is key. I hope you're willing to actually hear us as we express those concerns. While I recognize that Texas has become a hotspot for businesses, it behooves you to consider our stance, the values of communities that you are impacting. For example, 80 jobs is not comparable considering you're bringing in everything we aim to protect our community from. The border invasion and all the crime that comes with it. My heart hurts for these children, but we must protect our own first. Frankly, statistics prove unaccompanied illegal immigrant boys are in danger of exploitation, if not already on the cartel. Of course, we wish the best for these children, but we must protect American citizens first and foremost. That is our tax dollars, and they should be working to protect us. The latter part cartel is especially concerning for our children and grandchildren, drugs and human trafficking and so forth are not welcome here. Should you have used funding to create a facility for our veterans who have served our country and paid their dues, and who the government actually owns, we would be the most supportive community imaginable. Or perhaps disabled children, special needs, poverty-stricken families, in need. Then we would be on board. Instead, you buy a facility days before Joe Biden takes office. Presumably, you were under the pretense you would receive a noteworthy contract with a huge amount of funds to house illegal immigrants, which you did. You then paid off the loan very shortly after, and the release of the plan was filed in July of 21, even though Governor Abbott made it abundantly clear he would not allow a license for little infant children's housing he executive ordered 2 months prior. I didn't find that you were licensed to house children when I researched the company last year. Has that status changed? Let's be honest. Some may presume we are uneducated, small-minded, small-town individuals. What we presume is it always comes down to following the money. Another interesting fact is endeavors named a former Biden official as government liaison for your company just 1 year prior, and then you receive an astronomical amount of funds, federal funds, far surpassing anything received for veterans. Not coincidental, I'm sure. By the way, entering our country illegal, child or not, is a crime. Perhaps you don't feel that way. You should consider relocating this facility to a blue state that invited these very issues to our country. We stand firm against it. Additionally, when this facility was announced, it was under false pretense in which some implied Congressman McCall supported the facility. He has not supported or endorsed the placement of unaccompanied illegal immigrant children in his district or this county. Our longtime House Representative Ben Milan also took a firm stand against it. Good business practices would seem to work with leadership, of whom I'm tasked. The former Lake City manager, Landon, seems to have received community funding endeavors and received letters of support for this facility, when in fact that is untrue. It was not this facility, her Congressman's office. She posted on LinkedIn a positive impact which the majority appears to agree with. Fact is, the Biden administration has neglected to stop this infiltration, and we as a community don't want to suffer the consequences of his lack of leadership and failed policies. I do wonder, what are your housing protocols, security measures that are actually in place for these unaccompanied children? How will you obtain a license? What is the potential impact on our community? How can you ensure their safety or ours? Finally, what happens when these boys do get asylum? Thank you for your time, and I hope you can address these questions.
Is there something to answer there?
I don't think that should be.
There were a couple of questions that haven't been answered. The licensing.
So, we'll comply with the federal government, rules and regulations as it relates to license of the facility.
What about the state?
So the state gave us, an exception, of basically a waiver for licensure.
The state did? I'm
I
sorry.
didn't see
Did you
that.
say the state did?
So there's a process by which you get an exception, and we applied and got that exception.
From the state, not the federal, the
From
state. Okay.
And when did that happen?
I don't recall the specific date, but it was early. Through, what, the FPF.
So the state agency of Texas.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that, Bobby, does that cover all your?
If that's true,
We've got,
It's fine.
we'll look.
we got 5 more people that have signed up.
We'll look into that.
Last time I looked at it.
I think you can make it.
We'll look into that.
Lyle Anderson, where are you? There he is.
My name is Lyle Anderson, lifelong resident of Eagle Lake. Also coordinated the Colorado County Criminal Justice Plan for the governor's office. About 4 years. I don't believe anyone has done more data analysis in Colorado County, in the history of Colorado County than I have. My wife and I also ran a youth facility for at-risk children for 10 years. We know a little bit about the situation here in Eagle Lake. Also understand about site location analysis and economics of it. I say that to say this. You guys have put this facility in the most perfectly wrong place that I could possibly imagine. I could write up 50 points on why this is the wrong location for that facility. To put this facility within 100 yards of a public school, number one. Number two, to put it within 100 yards of a hospital system is also horrendous. To put it, number three, in a neighborhood of basically retirees, one of whom is my 90-year-old mother, who lives a quarter of a mile from that front gate. I can tell you, the moment something happens, there's going to be gigantic problems for that facility here in Eagle Lake. I would suggest two things be considered very strongly. I would suggest that you put a limit of age on the kids that you put in this facility, like y'all first said, of 12 and under. The biggest problems Eagle Lake has had, and I mean there's people in this room right now who've had automatic weapons fired in their backyards in the last 12, 15 months. And who was involved? This exact age group you're talking about. What I'm saying is, number one, please consider limiting your age group to under age 12. You say, well, we can't do that, what I do. I'm strongly suggesting, if you're going to bring them here, have them under age 12. Number two, there are gigantic funds involved with this process. I've not heard of a single thing relative to supporting the existing communities that you're gravitating around with a funding mechanism. I would strongly suggest that you sit down with the mayor and city council and discuss a funding mechanism relative to this plan that you bring into this community. And I'm not talking about a few $100,000. The Early Head Start program here in Eagle Lake has a budget of $250,000. It brings in and takes care of the youngest kids in Eagle Lake. This type of situation, I know a little bit about economics. This is a $2+ million a year type of situation that ought to go into this community from this program. Those are my comments to you. I hope you're taking it seriously.
Chuck Rogers.
My name is Chuck Rogers. I'm the emergency management coordinator for Colorado County. And I'm really not here to discuss function, but I am here to discuss protection and purpose. I'll preface my questions real brief, because a lot of folks think they come into a city and all fire departments are the same, all law enforcement is the same, all EMS is the same, and we're staffed all the same, and that is not true. We're a little community. And my question to you is coordination of services. Do you have a plan to coordinate with the county and the city services to provide them information? And the information I'm worried about is as your children come across the border, are they medically vetted? Can I have time to get that, or do I ask a question, he gets to answer me, how's it work?
Yeah, he can answer that.
Are they medically vetted at the border?
They are to some extent, yes.
And vaccinations?
I'm sorry?
Vaccinations?
Yeah, well, they get vaccinations at our facility.
And you're the custodian of those records, and they follow the children?
And we follow the state process. Yeah, we do it at Pecos today.
The reason being, we discovered this even during the COVID, but now we've looked further, that we've had an uptick in diseases, vehicle diseases, which we never thought we'd see in our lifetime, but we thought were eradicated: typhoid, dengue fever, and typhus. And they are coming from that, and the last thing I need is a small community that has very limited, and it's not an insult, but it is fact, limited defensive capabilities, to all of a sudden have a community like this become a ground zero event. My second thing is,
Can I say one thing about
Yes,
that relates to our operation in Pecos? Our COVID positivity rates, while transferred inside the facility, was less than 2%.
So we're pretty familiar with how to operate during that environment.
Right, and it was not a question, but a lot of the facilities that we found, they reach out to the local resources, please come help. And our resources may be already stressed to the limit with grandma still having a stroke, grandpa still having a heart attack, and now we have this. It's not that I am saying we are not capable, but we have to have plans to be prepared. Disasters, I'm sure you know you're in Hurricane City through here, and while we are not an evacuation county, we do stress that our hospitals and our nursing homes evacuate their residents should we have something. Are you working or do you have a plan? We cannot support that.
Yeah, we have to have a plan for all of those types of contingencies.
And would you be willing to share that and coordinate that with us? So if, and we've seen it happen, Ike was a very deal where all the contracts that were there, all of a sudden the contracts were no good. They were asking us for help. Would you be willing to share that with us?
100%, yes.
Max, my question, sir. The last thing is, what is your facility's rules about sharing intelligence stuff with the law enforcement community? Unfortunately, when we have a security event, which we don't want, I don't look for it and I don't wish it. But at the same time, by the time that we respond, and you let's just say we have a scattering of folks, if you will, from your facility, the only thing that the police are going to want is they need information, not only descriptors, but other intelligence. Is that going to be something through us that will hamstring the local law enforcement to get word out because of some governmental requirement that it cannot be shared immediately? Because out here, time is our enemy.
Yeah, I can't speak for ICE or federal law enforcement. We cooperate with local law enforcement every time.
All I would ask and stress that if this does go through, that you work with the county closely in their emergency management plan. You are running what we call in the fire service, a high live target hazard. You have people there 24/7. They are behind control gates, and that does cause an immediate problem if all of a sudden the residents and the staff are incapacitated. And I would hope that you'd work with the county and the city emergency response forces to be able to better protect you should you go forward. I thank you for your time and I thank you for coming tonight.
We've got 3 more. You got time for that? It's just 15 minutes till 7:30. Tom?
Colonel, it's a hot seat tonight, isn't it? Thank you for coming. Appreciate you so much for all of this. And thank you for your service. So, I'm against your facility and I'm against facilities like yours because all they do is encourage illegal immigration. My second comment is to agree with Lyle. I'm perplexed as to why you guys decided to put that facility as your location. And for the reasons that Lyle pointed out. I'm confounded by that. My third comment is, you all say right here on whatever page this is, that, I'm sorry, that you're going to contribute $5.5 million to the local economy every year. You put $10 million in the facility, you're going to spend $1.25 million on local spending. We have a lumber yard in town that's closed. We have a furniture store that's closing this week. If you guys would have spent 10%, 1/10 of what you say that you spent on that facility in this town, chances are they wouldn't be closed now. Them closing is not your fault. Don't get me wrong. But you say that you're going to do all this. We've seen this before with the National Guard thing and the boot camp. It never seems to materialize. I hope that if whatever happens, that you'll rectify that. My final question is this. You just said that you got a permit from the state. You got your license from the state. Is that correct?
That's not what I said. What I said was we applied for an exemption and got an exemption.
From the state.
From the state.
Can we see it?
I mean, so you got an exemption. I mean, so you have your permit.
Following the process that the state outlined for facilities like ours, applied for it and got it. Yeah,
Can we see the exemption?
So I guess so Colonel, my question is this. Is this a done deal? Are you gonna start taking kids in the summer, like you said up there? Is that where we are? When I saw you speak in November at the city council meeting, everything was still up in the air. We still had an executive order that prevented y'all from getting your license. Nothing was happening. Apparently since then, something has changed. You got this exemption. So I'm asking you, are y'all gonna start taking kids this summer?
So our plan is to be available to take children in the summer, yes.
That's too bad. That's a shame.
What office gives you the exemption?
I believe it's DFPS, Department of Family and Protective Services. It's the licensing facility for the state.
You know, it's interesting. I sent out an email to several hundred people to invite them to this deal tonight. A few of them are here. One of the guys responded and said, hey, I can't make it, but hey, let me know how and where and when we can vote against this thing. And I had to reply in that email, sorry dude, there's no vote on this. This has been rammed down our throats. So, anyway, thanks.
I have a question. Who makes the final decision for coming here?
It's already been done.
Is the decision made? Is it a done deal?
Yes.
So we have a grant to operate and we plan to operate.
Yes or no question? Is it
Perhaps a better question would be, considering considering the reception that you're receiving from the community, does this seem like a good place to set up business? Does this seem like it's gonna pan out? And what can you say to convince us that this is something to our benefit?
They don't care.
They can't even tell us how they're gonna protect anyone. There's no, give me a break.
So-
It's all about the money.
We've got two more folks, and then we get, Deb.
Oh, yes.
Agree.
Yes.
My name is Debbie Damon. Don't hear me. My name is Debbie Damon, and since January 2021, when my very good friend Brenda Bueller called me up and said, hey girl, I can read the front page of the Citizen. There's going to be an illegal immigrant housing project proposed for Eagle Lake, and I said, not on my watch, period. What I do want to say first of all is I want to say thank you so much to Endeavors for participating in this town hall meeting. I also want to say thank you to the city, the Eagle Lake City Council members that saw it through to carry forward with this town hall meeting. Sheena, thank you so much for being here. She came from far away to be here because she believes what's going on at the border. Also, I want to say, we have several Zoom attendees, one being Precinct 1 Harris County Criminal Sheriff's Department is in attendance during Zoom. And also a very close friend of mine, Catherine Griffin, in Grignon. She's been there, she's been in the interior of Mexico, and she has really fought against the border situation. She knows it, she's been there. Chuck Rogers with the Colorado County Commissioners Court, thank you for being here as well. And I have basically one question for you. There's been many, many questions since January 20th. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's been a lot of questions since January 2021. The one I have today is, what does the word child or children mean to you?
Money.
Per the Merriam-Webster definition, the word child is a noun, an unborn or recently born person, a young person, especially between infancy and youth. A child is a human being between the stages of birth and puberty, or between the development of infancy. The legal definition of child generally refers to a minor, otherwise known as a person younger than the age of majority. In interpreting the word child as worded in the will, it is required that it be specific, boy or girl, male or female. In your publication, which I have right here, I circled
18 times where they refer to the word child or children. It is not specific, whether it be boy or girl. In your first presentation to the City Council of Eagle Lake, you said it was a boy facility, young boy male facility. All of a sudden, we hear it's a boy girl. How would you like to have a facility with 13 to 17-year-olds, boys and girls in the same facility? That would be total chaos.
Oh my God.
So would you please, again, for the record, clarify, is this facility strictly going to be prohibited to young boys between the ages of 13 and 17?
Correct. We have one more, and I just want to get Cynthia's position.
I have a question about the grant that you just got, operational grant. How much was that for?
For approximately $8.5 million per year for 3 years.
Okay. In a prior meeting that I attended, someone asked, why did you choose Eagle Lake? And I don't know if it was you or Mr. Almond. They said it was proximity to an airport. Why do you need proximity to an airport? And the Eagle Lake Airport is not an open space airport. That is for private planes. And how are you going to transfer the children from Pecos to Eagle Lake?
So what I think one of the factors that Mr. Allen was telling me was that he's considering is proximity to an airport for transport to when those kids are reunified to somewhere in the United States.
Okay, and so.
We're close to the Houston Airport as well as.
And how will they be transported to
So
Houston?
they'll be transported via ground.
By ground. And my other question is, how are they going to be transported from Pecos to here?
So they're not coming from Pecos to here. So when a child is apprehended at the border and they're turned over to the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, at that point in time, they determine where that child is, what group home or shelter that child's going to be placed in throughout the United States.
So to be clear, is that we could get kids from Fort Bliss. We could get kids from Carrizo Springs.
Roma La Jolla.
La Jolla.
So if those facilities have evolved, those facilities are doing reunifications themselves, just like we are in Pecos. So it would be extremely rare for you to get a child from Fort Bliss.
So where are they coming from then? Because I still don't answer specifically.
Border patrol stations across the southwest border.
So anywhere.
Again,
so they're not.
OR makes the determination as to what shelter is going to get what child.
So they're not going to be coming from a intake facility per se. Is that right?
That's correct. Under the way they are operating today.
And we have no
So you won't be
experience with
using
it.
our airport.
So
That's correct.
You will not.
Was
They would have no experience with a group home evidently before they arrived here.
okay. My other question is,
That's how it's been done since the 90s.
and it doesn't work, so you need to reinvent the wheel. Somebody does. I'm not saying you do, but somebody does. The other question is, I'm thinking, I had it on the.
Time's up.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop.
Right quick, we've got a representative, of our state representative, Stan Kitchener. I forgot your name.
My name is Nathaniel Gissel.
He has a quick something.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this event this evening. My name is Nathaniel Gissel. I am the district director for Texas House District 85, which we reside in currently. On behalf of your state representative, Stan Kitchener. I have a stack of contact cards right here. I just want to let y'all know that Stan is aware of this ongoing situation and that we're here to share the facts. So if you would like to get in touch with us, please come see me, and I'd love to talk to you. Thank you so very much.
I have a question. Is Stan for this or against this?
I can answer questions like that. I'm going to say, Stan would have to answer it for you.
I can tell you that on his Facebook page, when he was running for office,
He was against.
That's right, he was against it, yeah.
Mayor, can I say one more thing? Just to correct the record, I said it was GFPS that gave us that exemption. It was not, it was Health and Human Services.
So is that Texas Health and Human? Okay, all right, thank you.
Please. So can we hear from, I know some of the council members weren't active, some of the council members weren't elected at that time when this decision was made by the city, but can we hear from some of those members of council as to why they thought this was a good idea, what was promised to them, and if those promises, commitments are still being made at this time?
You may, there's only,
They're not here.
We're not here.
there's Mike Cooper's here.
Would you like to say retirement fund? Mike, can you say a word?
I'll do good. My recollection goes back, when did you first, go to this, do you remember?
It was either late 2020 or early 2021, I think.
2020.
So, it's pretty difficult for me to remember breakfast this morning. Go back 2 or 3 years, I would say, my impression. My impression was the job issue. We were going to have, job opportunities in Lighton. We need that. The next thing I thought was that we would probably be, getting more money. Somebody's got my groceries. Somebody's got my gas. It's simplistic. The impression I had was that we really huge support of this organization coming to make a decision about whether they could be legal. And that's what I remember.
Thank you, Mike. Yes.
I was at the first time at the hospital, and we made it very clear that they weren't welcome by us, very clear. And one thing that they brought up, I caught something that he said. He said the only time that we had to go to a facility we couldn't handle is when he had like a sports injury or something, he got hurt. Well, they wanted a rec area. They said that they required rec areas for this facility. I want to know how these boys are going to get hurt playing ping pong inside that hall. Where are y'all going to take these boys if they're going to have the type of recreation you're going to have, but you're not going to turn them out in the general public?
So,
Good question.
there is recreation outside, inside our perimeter, outside.
It looks like it. I see.
I'll make it real brief.
Put it to your mouth.
I'm sorry. I think my question to you is going to be, you said you were gonna start to bringing children in the summertime, is that correct?
What I said was we'll be operationally ready to receive children.
The question that I had for you earlier was boys, girls, or both? And you didn't answer that question. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, we're gonna end this meeting. Thank y'all for showing up tonight. Apparently there's not a whole lot of support. Well,
Show of hands. Show of hands.
you support it?
Hi, am I allowed to speak? Okay, hi, I'm Renee Tice. I work, I'm a teacher at Rice Consolidated ISD. I've worked at Texas Challenge Academy for the past 8 years. Incredible program, helping at-risk youth. I am so in favor of what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank y'all for taking the hot seat for an
hour and a half.
Thank you.
So the story is, if you're bringing in your own people are going to make the money. The majority of the
Okay, guys, so that is it. I'm going to go ahead and close it out and see if I can go and talk with a few of the individuals here before we go. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like and share, and visit the website securetheborder.us. Thank y'all.